Hey guys, welcome to Rising Stars. I'm your interim host, Sean Watt. Michael is away for a little bit. He'll be back before you guys know it. This production is sponsored by Urban Eats MTL, and I'm with our next guest, the beautiful and stunning Zein. How are you?
Hi, nice to meet you.
Good. So Zain's a very unique name. Where does that originate from?
I don't know where it originates from, but my family's Tunisian. So it was my mom's nickname. Her name is Zohra, and then my grandpa was like, we're going to name her Zein because it's my mom's nickname. And she was like, oh, what if she doesn't turn out to look like her? And I look exactly like my mom, weirdly.
Wow, no way.
And I have 4 other sisters who don't look like her.
It's funny how life works like that, right? Wow, okay.
Yeah.
So you're from Tunisia. Are you born and raised there?
I left when I was 12.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And
I left in 2011.
Yeah.
I was always in an American school. My dad thought ahead and he wanted us to be English speakers. I do speak Arabic, like Tunisian Arabic, and Tunisia is half Arabic, half French, alors je parle aussi français.
Yeah.
But yeah, we left in 2011.
Okay, so I have some friends from Tunisia. They're great people. They're
Yeah.
very upfront, right? So,
Yes, they are.
his wife actually just went back to Tunisia, brought the kid with her because she doesn't like the cold here. What do you think of the Canadian weather?
I'm actually used to it. I really love skiing. I've always done like sport d'hiver, even in Tunis, because it's an hour away from France. I can go skiing. It's like going to Tremblant for an hour away,
exactly.
I guess.
Do you know how to snowboard?
No.
Snowboarding's fun. I
know.
recommend if you can get into it.
I'll try.
It.
I'll
Yeah,
try.
you're gonna fall a lot though for like first 24 hours.
Okay, I'll keep that in mind.
Yeah, my forearms were so sore for like 2 weeks because I fell so hard, and the snow is the fake snow, right?
Yeah.
So it's just like so compact, and every time you fall on it, it was like falling on sand.
It's literally my worst
Awful.
fear is like snowboard falling. I see how they fall, and like when I'm skiing, I'm like, I can't do that.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
It's a bit of tumbling.
Learn the proper techniques.
Okay.
So you know how to ski. You've gotten used to the weather in Canada. Do you know how to do like hockey, skating? That's like our, most prized possession when it comes to sports, right?
Yeah, my dad in Tunisia, he opened the first ice skating rink in Africa.
That's huge.
And he did
No
that in
way.
the summer. We would ice skate in the summer. It was a thing.
Wow.
So I learned ice skating from Tunis.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. That's a really interesting fact about
Yeah.
you. Okay, so you know how to skate. You're good to
Yeah.
go. Have you played hockey?
No,
Are you a fan?
I think I am. I
You
like the energy of people.
Have you been to a game?
I have, yes.
What do you think of it?
I think it's really exciting and fun. Like I love all like sport games. I love the energy of like a collective focus.
Well, it's a very physical game.
Yes.
If you've ever played it, the average shift length is 45 seconds because you gas out that hard, right? You're skating hard, you do things, 45 seconds later, you're gassed, you're switching your line.
Yeah.
That's usually how it works.
I don't know all the technical words for it. I just
Yeah.
enjoy watching it a lot.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're here in Canada, acclimatized everything, this and that. I heard you were a model, or
Yes.
that's where you started?
Yes,
Yeah.
a bit.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how'd you get into that?
I was like much skinnier when I was like a teenager, and then I was doing a few things here and there, but my parents were very wary and like scared of like, doing too much or whatever. So I kind of waited it out to get like more of their approval on it. And they wanted me to have an education, so I went and studied and did McGill and all that, but at the same time I would do like photo shoots, or friends needed stuff for their campaigns or things like that. So I did like a lot of freelance, paid, not paid. And I was also like it made me very aware of the camera.
Yeah.
And I love being expressive, and I think modeling is a lot of like control. So like how you look, they do your makeup, they do your outfits, they do your hair, and they say, okay, I want this. So it's not like acting where you get to kind of put yourself into it a bit, where you have your expression, your ideas come through, your perception of what you think the character is. So I kind of felt really restricted when I was doing it, but it could be a lot of fun when you really like the project. But if you don't, you have no say in your...
So it's kind of miserable in a way, right?
A little
it's,
bit, yes.
Kind of tough.
Yeah,
Okay.
even if you hate the photos, you have no control over them, and they can do whatever they want with them.
Yeah.
So
Okay, so I mean, from someone who's not a model or have any experience in that, out of a scale on 1 to 10, have you ever done the catwalk?
yes.
Oh yeah, how hard is it? Because I've seen videos of a real cat doing the catwalk and it looks so flawless, right?
I actually thought I would enjoy it a lot more, but I liked it a lot more in my room walking and like being in my vibe. But
So less like cameras flashing.
Yes.
You're like, okay, I can do this with my own self-confidence.
yes.
Right?
Yes.
Okay.
100%.
So out of 10, you'd rate it like difficulty, like to perfect
It's more
it.
difficult than
Yeah.
people think. Like
Yeah.
trying, like have to. It's like a lot of like physical awareness. Like you have to be like in shape all the time. Like your skin has to be perfect.
It's crazy, right?
It's
There's
a lot of
it's-
pressure.
I
That
feel like it's so like, I don't know. I feel like it's just so like, how can I word this? Strict.
yes.
That's what the word would be.
Exactly.
Strict. It's very.
And it's very
strict,
trendy. It's like some like faces are in, and then next season this is wanted. Like it's very trendy. So you
Okay.
can. It's not even about you at the end of the day. It's more of what the industry wants to look at that time. So even if you don't get the casting jobs, it's not because of you. It's because of what's trending. So it's like very hard to make your place in it, and
Yeah.
it lasts.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. Were you represented by a model agency?
Yes.
Yeah, here in Montreal,
Yes.
Tunisia. Okay.
Montreal and one in Ontario.
Nice. That's
Yeah,
good.
yeah.
Congrats.
Thank you. But I'm not with them anymore. It's
No.
just past.
Exes. They're in the past.
Yeah, I wish
Okay.
them really a lot of good because they were really
Yeah.
nice to me.
Good. I'm glad to hear that. So I also heard that you studied McGill.
Yes.
That's quite the accomplishment and achievement. That's a very hard school to get into.
I loved
I
McGill.
love it. Yeah. So what'd you study there?
I studied art history, communications, and an honors in English and cultural studies. That was my major. The
Okay.
art history communications was a minor.
Yeah.
Both minors.
And have you graduated?
Yes.
Congrats.
Thank
That
you.
is awesome.
Thank
yeah.
you.
So where do you want to go with that?
I went to Essence with that. I was a writer for them for almost a year.
Yeah.
And that was really fun, like meeting a lot of creative people. I've always like, when I picked my jobs, even like choosing a flower shop job, it was always towards beauty, towards expression, towards, looking at wonderful, beautiful things. And I think that kind of unintentionally put me towards acting without
Okay.
like subconscious little clues.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was like sort of life giving you these hints. Where
Yes.
it's like, you know what, we're going to push you this way. And you're like, okay, I'll try it, I guess.
100%.
Right? So you
And-
went from Essence
Yeah.
to anything else afterwards?
I worked social media manager, and then I just
How
did
was
like
that? Because we live obviously in the world of social media, right? Was that crazy? Was
I mean,
that
it was
hard?
with a
Like-
friend. I'm
Yeah.
still really good friends with her, and it was
Okay.
really fun because I love her brand.
Ah.
And she's like very into like Victorian dresses. It was really unique watching
So
her
like
make
Renaissance
her.
sort of stuff?
It was
Okay.
really interesting pieces, and she put her whole heart in it. And if I'm gonna plug the brand, it's Anasuka.
Yeah, no,
and
it's
she
okay,
makes
yeah.
dresses here in Montreal in like really beautiful pieces.
So you hear that, guys? Anasuka. Check her out. She was the social media manager before. Would you describe being a social media manager? Is it an easy job? Is it, is it kind of stressful at certain moments? Was there certain pressure on you to do it?
It was really fun. I really enjoyed it because
Yeah.
you get to, especially if you care with the same aesthetics, if you agree with the same aesthetics, and you can really like put your spin on it. It's not like foreign, or you have to like try hard to like kind
Of
of,
course, yeah.
and you have to reach the right audiences, because that's really the appeal. Like even if you're a huge influencer and you have no common grounds with the brand, we're not gonna just send like free
No,
items
of
to
course
that.
not. No.
Yeah, so it's just like knowing like the brand, knowing its people, who we want to attract, like, and things like that. But all
Okay.
are welcome, and I'm just saying like it's very like it's really programmed.
Yeah.
The strategies like to learn from there.
Okay, so
It was
you
really
went
fun.
from the social media manager. What was the next step for you?
The next step was acting.
Yeah, so how did you get into it, like fully, where you're just like, okay, I'm gonna dive for it.
No,
Let's go.
I had no idea about, like, I knew about acting obviously, but like I never thought I would be an actress. Like there were hints, like when I was little, my sister was driving a golf car, and like she was way too young to be driving it, and she was playing R. Kelly, I Believe I Can Fly. R. Kelly, another offense
It's
from
very,
him.
yeah.
And then I was like, what if I could just fly? And like I was like 8 years old, and like what if I can just convince myself I can fly?
Yeah.
And I just jumped out of the car. I still have a scar from,
Oh my God.
and
Yeah.
I just jumped thinking I would fly.
I believe I can fly.
So I
Okay.
actually had like little pieces of like me just like subconsciously like thinking myself into things.
Yeah.
And right before Robert Ruffo, who told me I should be an actress, I was at a restaurant, and the guy wanted to use our photos for his restaurant page, like us eating in his restaurant.
Yeah.
And then on the restaurant page, Robert messaged me on Instagram, and he was like, "Do you model?" It was just for scouting me for a model, for modeling gigs. And then when he met me, he's like, "Do you want to be in my promotion pictures for my investors?"
Yeah.
And I was like, "Sure," but I was like, "I don't act. I don't know what you would want from me." And he was like, "Just be yourself," and I just say emotions, just do them for the camera.
Yeah.
And then after we were done, he was like, "You should definitely act." And then he put me in acting classes, and then I fell in love with it. And I was like, "This is what I was meant to do."
Yeah. So where are you taking acting classes here in Montreal?
I'm doing a few different workshops, but he put me in MSOPA.
Oh, nice. Okay. So what do
Yeah.
you think of MSOPA?
I love it, and I also feel like I met a good community of people there.
Yeah.
Like a lot of the actors that I met in classes have helped me a lot. My acting methods are reading a book once a week about acting. I feel like I really want to get as much learning as possible because, again, I'm so brand new to it.
Yeah.
Where I didn't just rely on one class a week or two classes a
of
week
course.
kind of strategy. I really learned as much as I can possibly learn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So one of the key things from my experience is when it comes to development for acting is you need to study the greats. So you study an actress or an actor that you look up to, and you find out, you take things from them, and then you find out how can I make it better.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So subtle movements, people watching, that's something that you can do every single day. When I'm on the metro, there are a lot of weird people, but I've learned a lot of crazy things on like body movement, right? This and that. So it's all the small things in life. Right now, we're literally doing an improv session. You don't know what I'm going to say, and I have no idea what you're going to say. But you improv every single day of your life. You go to a Tim Hortons. You know what that cashier's going to say to you. You have an idea of how they're going to approach you by saying, "Hi, welcome to Tim Hortons," but you don't know, right?
Definitely.
It's kind of scary at the same time.
It's exciting. Being present is like the most beautiful thing you can do. Is just allowing things to just come up naturally and not just pre-program them.
Yeah, so, and the key is just, having that belief in you and never lose that. And there will be moments of adversity, 100%, right? So
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
My family went through so much, and I'm like, if that's possible, if those worst of the worst circumstances are possible, then obviously the best of the best is also possible.
It's also point of perspective.
Yeah.
And I've been telling, the crew here today is it's never a bad day. It's a bad moment. It's a point of perspective. As soon as you just say it's a bad moment, you create this aura of positivity that even though something really bad might have happened to you, everything else is positive.
100%.
It is. It's just point of perspective, and it's the way that you take things.
But I also think that there's good and there's good and bad, yin and yang.
It's the balance of life.
So I feel like even if I have a bad day, I'm like, what's triggering me? Like, what can I pull from this? Like, what can I learn from this? So I feel like being imperfect is part of being human, and not judging ourselves and accepting our bad just as much as we accept our good is just radical self-acceptance. Just helps you be more forgiving towards yourself and others, and giving people grace is so important.
Being grateful, humble, that actually goes a long way. Like I mentioned to you, when I signed with my new agent there, it's because I was just being genuine and me. And I think that's so important. It's just be you. Don't be afraid to be someone that you're not gonna be, because eventually people will see through that, and you won't be able to put up the act any longer, right?
I can totally agree to that.
Yeah. So let's go back to modeling. Let's say you were still doing it. What would have been that dream, gig for you at that time?
At the time, I think I could approach it more with acting, because I did have a meeting with a friend who owns an agency here in Montreal, and he was like, "Zein, I just want to be honest with you, like modeling is the bottom of the chair, and then now it's like the second chair is influencers, and then the top is actors. When they're established, they get most of the fashion, gigs."
It's true though,
Yeah, so he's like, if you would like to do more fashion, ironically it's through acting. So that was kind of the appeal there. But now, like, when I've done acting enough for almost a year, I can say that the appeal is acting itself. That was my motivation at first, to do more modeling.
Okay, nice. Let's say I'm a producer and director right now, and I'm going to give you a contract for any role for a film that's currently out in the world. Which role would you want? if I can just give you that role, and you know what I mean?
Cleopatra. I know that Denis Villeneuve is working on that.
Yeah.
And Cleopatra is Greek. I'm Mediterranean, and
yeah.
Egyptian. I'm from Tunisia.
It could work.
It could work. But also, I love I've watched every version of Cleopatra. The one with Vivien Leigh, the one with Elizabeth Taylor, and all of them.
What entices you to do that role? Is there anything in particular?
I just love her. Like, she's a powerful woman, and she led with her heart a bit, and even the strategies of what to do with her, her people, her country, and how she navigated things. How she, I just think she's really.
Her story is very interesting because she was adopted, obviously, and the people of Egypt did not approve of her. Her brother actually despised her.
Yes.
And the fact that she became a pharaoh over him was like a huge disrespect to him, and he still, I read books in history where he tried to sabotage her and this and that, and assassinate her a few times, and but she still overcame all that, and she's gone down as one of the greatest pharaohs in history, right?
Yes.
So those are big shoes to fill. Do all your research if you're going to get cast for that. Do it justice. You're from the area. Should be okay.
She's just such a crazy enigma, and in our cultural imagination, everybody I think knows who Cleopatra is, and I guess it is the pressure of filling into that. But hopefully whoever he casts, me or not, I really want a really good actress for that part.
If you believe in manifestation, hopefully that'll come. Yeah, put it out there. You never know. The world's full of surprise, especially in the film industry. You never know what's going to happen. Who you're going to meet. Who's going to be watching this? Maybe he's watching this. Who knows,
so.
Right? You just never know.
Yeah.
Life is full of surprises. Same question, but for a TV show. What is a role or, a certain character where it's yes, I want to do that?
Existing or fictional?
Something that's just existing on, Netflix or Amazon Prime right now. If I can give you that role and here's your paper and whatever role it is.
Maybe a cowgirl on Yellowstone. I love
Yellowstone?
Is that what it's called?
Yeah, it's Yellowstone. So it's.
I love cowboy aesthetics. I love Western. I love Arizona. I don't know. I used to watch a lot of Westerns with my dad. He loves Westerns. Nice. And I always
Clint
loved that.
Eastwood style, where it's the filmography shows their eyes and then their fingers twitching and they're getting ready. Okay, nice.
I love riding horses, so that would be the perfect fun vibe to just be riding horse. Yeah.
Nice for TV series. That's a good answer. Okay, so let's say I'm a producer right now, and I'm okay, let's do a project together. And if I asked you to create this project, what would the project be? Just from the top of your mind. Anything in particular, or would it be action, thriller, horror?
Genre. I honestly love all genres. I think that's the part of acting is that's exciting is kind of pushing yourself and seeing what role I can be.
Yeah.
So I don't know if I've ever thought about which role I would create for myself because, again, for me, I know a lot of actors I've spoken to their answers are sometimes I want a role that kind of resembles me, and I feel then just go on a reality show, be yourself.
That's cold hard facts. I never even thought about that, but yeah.
But I actually enjoy even when acting classes there's a role for the really old sinister grandma. I'm I want that,
Yeah.
I also don't want to be just put in a box of from my appearance or my demeanor from that.
Typecast or whatever
exactly.
it is.
I really want to be molded and pushed and stretched. And,
to be fair, I think the typecasting has sort of gone away. There's a lot more inclusion. Obviously, there's still some of the bad bugs out there, so to speak, who still typecast, and that's always going to be there, unfortunately, right? But we can try to saturate that out by, sort of influencing that on certain projects and creating your own projects and including diversity and this and that. 100%.
Right? I love that the industry has become way more inclusive. It's fun to see that in new movies and shows. It's a really good.
Yeah, it's a good vibe to have happen now. Talking a little bit more about acting, I want to know what are some of the challenges that you've seen in terms of trying to be an actress, the reality check, because it's not as what
the industry.
Acting itself, because it's not as what everyone thinks or what it seems to be. It's a lot harder than people think, right?
I think it's trying different methodologies. For instance, I read a book that's separate yourself completely, and I feel sometimes when I was auditioning for things with that in mind, I kind of disconnected and didn't actually have enough emotion coming through. So that didn't work for me. So I think that's why it's important to read as many books as possible on it, and just be very open to advice, not listening to every advice, but being open to hear them all, because there is a grain of truth in almost every one of them. And
well, there's a methodology that would work for everybody,
Exactly.
right? So maybe method acting doesn't work for you, but it works for me, you
Oh,
know?
it does?
Yeah, I love
that's
just
crazy.
getting so deep into the mindset of who this character is, where I convince myself that this character is who I am. I love that.
That's insane. That's good.
Yeah,
That's insane.
I love it.
I
but
remember,
there's, go ahead.
I'm telling my sister who lives in London, I was like, oh, I'm an actress now. She's like, just please don't method act.
Yeah, there's a fine line though, right? Obviously, you need to know where it's safe to do it and where to sort of stop and draw the line and be like,
well,
you know
you're
what
a
I mean?
method actor, so when do you draw the line?
When I start losing myself.
Okay, that's a good sign.
Yeah, so when I start, I don't know, there's certain roles that I've tried to get into where it's like, okay, my character is like Hannibal Lecter, right? And I've gotten into the roles where it's like, okay, this guy's charming, but then he's also this serial killer who wants to harvest organs and this and that, started affecting my dreams.
Yeah.
So I took a step back, like, whoa, I was in the mindset for like 3 weeks, right?
Yeah.
When it starts affecting your dreams and you start going in, public areas with certain thoughts, it's like,
Yeah.
whoa, back off, okay,
Yeah.
right?
That's
But
insane.
I know how to get into that mindset again.
That's-
Because I've developed it, okay, and it's sort of like a alternate persona. Where it's like, oh yeah, just flip through cards. Okay, psycho, boom, you know how to already get into it automatically,
Yeah.
right? So there's certain cues that I can draw upon where it helps benefit myself, right? But again, it's not for everybody. Some people prefer realistic acting, right?
I think it just depends on the part you're doing and how far you need to go for it. And I think like when people say acting, like, oh, you're pretending, you're lying, like even my boyfriend sometimes, like in the beginning he was like, are you acting? Like, are you actually meaning this?
Yeah, they always say that.
And I'm just like, no, like obviously I'm being more real, because acting asks you to even be more real than you are in the real life. Like, pull out more things from yourself than you're expected to do, like in your robotic, everyday lifestyle.
You know what the key is to that, though? It's having a strong imagination.
Yes,
So
I do have that.
Yeah, me too. It's like a child, I can go anywhere. You tell me a story, my mind's bouncing everywhere.
Yes.
I remember one time I was sitting at home and my mind sort of drifted off and I was doing an internal monologue. So I was picturing this wife that I've never had in my life, I've never met in my life. She was in the hospital on the bed and she was dying from cancer. And the doctor came in and told her, it's just terminal, it's a real deal. And I remember going up to her, holding her hand, saying like, I'm so sorry. And she's like, no, it's okay. And then I apologized to her saying, I'm so sorry. Like, I never gave her a kid when she asked to have a kid from
my
me.
God.
And now that she's dying, I can't give her a kid. That was one of her dreams, right? So I started crying from doing this because my imagination just started going and I convinced myself that these events actually occurred. And I'm like, this has never occurred in my life. I've never had, a wife who was dying from this, and it was just horrible. But that's sort of where you have to go in terms of acting, right?
sure.
So it's the strong imagination, and then that sort of just connects to everything else, and you don't force it.
Exactly. That's what you were saying. Like, I would also think like that, but not as drastic.
Yeah.
But just like scenarios in my head, or even when I was a kid,
Yeah.
I would like find like, when you have the fork and the knife and the
Yeah.
the spoon or whatever.
On the table,
I would
yeah.
pretend that the spoon and the knife are obviously married, and the fork was like trying to get in between them. Like
Oh,
just
wow, like the
little
third
things
wheel
like
kind
that
of
to
thing?
kind of
Okay.
entertain myself. It was
Yeah.
like a really boring dinner.
Yeah. Okay. Would you ever do voiceover?
I can do like cartoonish voices. Like I'm not gonna. Don't ask me.
No, you're not going to. You're not paid for it. So.
I can do like Homer Simpson really good.
Okay.
And I can do Marge, and I don't know. I think it's silly. I like being silly like
Is
that.
there a TV series that you'd like to do for voiceover, if given the opportunity, or a video game or something?
I don't know. I feel like I don't know what new cartoons there are. Like obviously, what it's done is done.
Well, something that's already out. Like, let's say they're like, oh, new season, we're gonna
Of what,
cast
like,
for.
example?
Could be Futurama, Family Guy, American
Yeah,
Dad,
I'm not
Rick
really-
and Morty, Simpsons, video games, for example.
I guess The Simpsons, because that's the one
Yeah.
I probably know.
Yeah, I guess it's sort of one of those things where when you receive voiceover auditions, it's very unexpected. Like when I get them, it's sort of like, oh, okay, well, it's for this commercial, or you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just such random projects. that it's hard to have a definitive answer to
Yeah,
that.
exactly.
So, yeah.
I also love discovering new things, like being put on new things, and I think that also comes from, my love for knowledge. Like if someone showed me a new TV show or a new movie that they're really excited about, I would definitely put that on my list. I think I love black and white movies, like from specifically 1937 to 1944, and I was
very
like,
specific, huh?
and I was like, why do I love just those?
7 years.
And I'm like, because all the men were in war, and like it was all the female characters were in display, and it was like a lot of strong female movies at the time that was being made, like Lady Hamilton with like Vivian Leigh, and Hamilton Woman, and Gone with the Wind, and The Heiress with like Olivia de Havilland, like stuff like that, like movies just like with strong female characters. I haven't seen much since, like in that kind of way, like where they had like a lot of drama in their life, and it was just.
Sounds like there's an opportunity for you to start creating some projects.
Back and bring them back.
Yeah, it could be the new trend. I mean, for me personally, for example, the new trend that I sort of want to set is when let's say I'm a producer for a TV show. I want to see multiple directors work on one episode. So let's say you specialize as like a thriller and a horror director. I want you to film those scenes specifically for episode 1, and then I'll find another director who specializes in comedy, and they'll film those scenes specifically. And now it's giving more directors more work, right? And it's more collaboration, and it's, that's at the end of the day, that's what it's all about, is collaboration.
That's really interesting. Yeah, I would love to see that.
I think that would be so unique.
Oh, you want to direct as well?
Oh, I want to be jack of all trades. What about you?
I think I'm good with just acting.
Just acting?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I mean, eventually, you might want to tell your own stories because, you go through life and you start experiencing new and different things, and there might be something that you see or that, a family member goes through or friends go through, and you're like, you know what? I need to tell this story to do it justice. Right?
I understand that. Like, for instance, the idea of telling your own story. Like, I was in McGill when I was like, how can I tell my family story? Like, because we're doing this assignment where you have to kind of be honest with events in your life. And I was like, I could never do this through documentary style because it's so complex and complicated, and people be like, you're biased from everything that happened. So, and my teacher was like, that's the beauty of it. You can do it through fantasy. You can do it through something that's not real. And it can be done through, like, you can give your characters different names, and instead of your mom and dad,
quote unquote inspired.
By and I was like, that's that where it gave me such a relief of a freedom of like you can do it through, fantasy, through that kind of creation.
So, for example, when you're looking at a script, and let's say you have 2 different scripts in front of you, do you choose the script that has the most beautiful story to you, or do you just choose a script that's probably going to give you the most recognition? Which one would you choose, and why?
I've never had to question that. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think I've had enough experience to question there.
Okay. So, for example, when I started acting, I was picky. I wanted to choose a script that had a meaningful story because I think as actors, that's our platform, is to tell these stories that aren't being told, or, you know what I mean, to try to contribute to someone else's beautiful story that maybe they've been through or whatever. So, when you get that experience, you'll find out sort of where you tend to lean towards, right?
Yeah, for sure.
And that'll just come with time.
For now, when I apply or when I send things, I really love to connect to it and like see if I can be pushed, or it asks more of me to be more honest. Like sometimes I'd be reading scripts, I'd get ideas and I'd start crying and I'd be like, maybe I can't do this, maybe it's too personal to go there. But I'm just like, that's why it's important to go there, because it's safe environment, it's healthy, it's wonderful. I don't know, I hate when people say like acting's my therapy, but like we have to admit it is a little bit of therapy.
Yeah, there are moments where I've cried on set and felt good. And I'm not afraid to admit that, crying's okay, and when it's on set, it's when it's genuine and you don't force it, because I know you've done crying scenes, right? Yeah. So your breath work is very important.
Yes.
As soon as you start clenching up, you'll never cry.
Yes.
So you just relax and just be in the moment, you start crying, and the tears come out, right? So have you ever had a scene where you had to cry? And if so, what was it for? Could have been for, an animal that's deceased, a pet. Is there anything in particular?
I had to do a crying scene for my showcase for my acting class, like the first one.
Okay.
And what came about was like me like imagining things opening in each room as she was talking and listening to her, and just really perceiving it as being real. Like, I don't know why it's like I saw an interview, I forgot the actor, he said it's like falling backwards and into the dark, and you just let yourself be, and there's no fear, you're just there, and you're able to, even whoever's watching you, like, be as vulnerable as you as it comes up. And just like that freedom to do that, and everyone knows that it's acceptable, makes you feel like very comfortable and even encouraged to do that in the moment.
Okay, great answer. Would you ever do an action movie? Let's say guns and this and that.
Yes.
Yeah, you would?
Yeah,
So what type of style would it be? Like Mr. and Mrs. Smith style?
Yeah, I was just thinking of Angelina Jolie in
Brad
her
Pitt.
Tomb Raider, like.
Oh yeah,
movie.
Tomb Raider.
Yeah.
So okay, so adventure, action kind of style. It's pretty cool, right? Yeah. Would you ever do a war movie? Because I know.
Yes, I would do a war
I know, for
movie.
example, like war movies. There's not a lot of female actresses that are really portrayed in war movies. And I think that'd be quite interesting.
That would be very interesting. I actually really love war movies.
A female war hero who goes through a lot, but
Yeah.
ends up overcoming all the obstacles and triumphs.
I feel like males use a lot of the war movies because that's the only time where we perceive like males as being brave, or not like the only time, but like vulnerable and crying, going through a lot, losing things, and then the female like pain is like almost
Emotional.
not as like it does. I don't know this distinction. It's like distinct from that.
Yeah.
So feeling like the idea of putting a woman in a wartime movie would be very interesting to me to see how she like things we haven't seen.
Yeah, that's something that maybe you can
or
also
like a nurse.
try to inspire.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly, like a nurse, like a war nurse or something like that. Yeah, it's a great idea.
Yeah.
Okay, so some quick questions for you before we wrap this up. Favorite food? Let's say dinner plate. If I were to give you dinner, boom, what would you like to eat right now? And it's anything
As a
that
palate
comes.
of a 5-year-old, probably like mac and cheese.
Mac and cheese.
Yeah.
Okay, do you include hot dogs and ketchup with that? Because it's pretty
No,
good.
I don't eat red meat, so no.
Okay.
Yeah.
So no. Okay. Dessert. If I give you dessert right now, what would it be?
Nutella crepe.
Nutella crepe.
Yeah,
That's pretty good.
yeah.
Okay. Favorite thing to do on a Sunday?
Be with my boyfriend and just walk around, get ice cream,
Nice.
sit in the park,
So
watch
relax,
a movie. Yeah.
take it easy. Okay, great. Well, thank you again for
Thank
coming.
you.
Such
Thank
a pleasure to meet you. Thank you guys. This has been another episode of Rising Stars. I'm your host, Sean Watt, and this episode sponsored by Urban Eats MTL. I'll see you guys on the next episode. Take care.